This is Karen with newclevelandradio.net, and it is time for, as we call it, Thoughts, Theories, and Queries with Steve Valdez. And, some of you may be saying, I was listening in once a month and I was listening to Steve, and all of a sudden, did he fall into a sinkhole? Well, I don't think they have too many sinkholes in California.
Not
But
too many.
Steve is back, and we're going to talk about 3 of his theories today. And if you're interested, I'm going to recommend that you go to the website. I will have the link in the show notes. So I'm not going to even read it off, but go back to those show notes. You can click on it and you can read the theories that Steve is talking about today, or other theories as well. So welcome back.
Thank
How
you
are
very
you?
much. Thank you very much. I'm well. How about you?
Doing fine. Winter has passed, at least I think it has. And so now it's spring, almost summer in the Cleveland area.
Glad to
And
hear it.
for the next 6 months, that's my thriving time. I'm not a winter person. So
You can actually go outside now.
I do.
A few minutes at a time. That's good. That's
You
good.
got it. You got it.
Wow.
So you sent us a new theory. Theory number 47. Wow.
I did. And that's one of them I'm going to talk about today. One of the new ones and a couple of the old ones.
Okay.
But, speaking of spring and speaking of the sun being out, so it must be time for baseball.
Absolutely.
This one is about baseball. I know I've had a couple of theories about baseball, but every now and then something either gets me excited or just pisses me off. So sadly, this is the latter, but I do want to talk about it. I would like to share that theory.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready. Anytime.
All right. This is probably the newest one so far. It's theory number 37, called the DH. When I was a kid, I used to love to hear the initials DH during baseball season. Back in the day, that meant a doubleheader, 2 games for the price of 1. You can't beat that. But as of 1973, those letters came to signify something much more sinister and nefarious: the designated hitter. I never really liked the idea of the DH, but I never really also gave it that much thought because it was always in the American League and my teams were in the National League. But here we are 50 years later, and that infamous curse of baseball has reared its ugly head toward my beloved National League. Starting in the spring of 22, all teams will be able to use the designated hitter. Now, I understand that a lot of people don't like baseball the way it is. It's too slow, it's too boring, not enough action. I've heard it all before. Fine, then don't watch. Problem solved. Fortunately, MLB is a lot about money, and most of that money comes from the fans. So once again, baseball has made it a priority to listen to those morons and change the game in hopes that more people will watch it. Raise the mound, lower the mound, juice the ball, start extra innings with people on base. Okay, now the complaint du jour is that no one wants to see the pitcher embarrass himself at the plate 3 times a game by watching him trying to hit. But any student of baseball knows the inherent strategies that come into play when the pitcher bats. Is he Shohei Ohtani or Madison Bumgarner and you let him swing away? Do you let him bunt and advance the runners? Or do you pull him for a pinch hitter in a run scoring situation? It's all part of the game. Now, once you've decided which to choose, the other team counters with changes and strategies of their own. Yes, the pitcher is usually the weakest hitter, but shortstops, second basemen aren't too far behind him in that department either. The biggest problem for me with all this is that I can follow the logic of the DH to its inevitable end. Why stop at the pitcher only pitching and the DH only hitting? Why not have 9 people out in the field who are the best defensive players you can find and 9 players who are the best hitters you can find? Fielders only field, batters only bat. It'll be just like football. You could have an offense and a defense. This is usually the point in which I wake up from that nightmare in a cold sweat. Someone once told me that baseball is an abstract sport. It's not the same as putting the ball through a hoop or a puck in a net. Every pitch changes the potential outcome of the game, either subtly or overtly. Just let it play out. And if you're bored sitting at the ballpark watching all this unfold, there's an hour-and-a-half line for hot dogs and beer with your name on it.
Well, and my love for baseball.
Yes, I do.
So I like this, but it's interesting. I've always been a fan. Well, I shouldn't say always, but most of my life I've been an American League fan. Um, and I always thought the reason for the DH was that the pitcher needed to rest their arms during the inning.
Mhm.
And so if they're up to bat, now, they're part of that lineup, they might injure their arm,
Right,
whatever.
right,
But yet, when we as kids learn the game of baseball, there's no such thing as a designated hitter.
right, right.
So to me, that gets confusing,
Yeah, yeah, it does. I mean, it's a pleasant side effect for the pitcher, not to have to bat and worry about running or maybe tripping or maybe, something. But like you said, I mean, it's part of the game. You play outfield, you play, then you come in and you hit.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't hit very well, but you do your best. And even that, like I said, you could bunt, you could do this, you could do that, you could stand in front of the plate, get hit on purpose, just to get on base. I'm not suggesting that, but yeah, it I don't know. I mean, you're used to it. You probably most of your life you've seen it,
Right,
and
exactly.
and it's just part of the game for American League players. And it was a big deal when it first came out, but um and it seems to be going over well. I don't hear a lot of complaints. People like me complain, and but I mean, I'm not against change, at all. I mean, I know it's inevitable. I know things have to change, things need
Sure.
to change, but it's the motive for the change that bugs me. Why are you doing it? If it was a safety element to the pitch for the pitcher, if it was something constructive for the game, that's one thing. But it's just catering to people who want change for change's sake. Let's see, I want the numbers up. I want more people viewing. Yeah, the pitchers can't hit. Most pitchers can't hit, but so maybe we'll do that. But that doesn't make sense either, because sometimes they want the pitchers they want more pitching and less hitting.
Right.
Sometimes they want more hitting and less pitching, and they change things and do things. So it just kind of bugs me. I mean, they're doing a lot of little silly things now, and I kind of thought we were done with it. But I guess we never will be.
Well, I think the next big change we're going to see, something that I've heard through the grapevine, is that the home plate umpire is probably going to be replaced with a robotic umpire, so that
Yeah.
balls and strikes are called the way, evenly across the board.
Right.
And, I like that, but I don't like it,
Right.
because once you do that, what else are we going to do to
Right.
make it more robotic? But like you said, change is part of evolving and life around us. But the other thing that I don't understand, when people say, baseball is boring, to me, the only reason I think hockey is not boring is because hockey players tend to have fights. Okay. And so it
Right.
breaks up things. And you even see that, in football. Okay. Somebody gets hit too hard and there's a fight. In baseball, typically you don't see that, unless somebody from the stands throws something out on the field or says something nasty.
Right.
So for those of you listening, pick the sport that you like the most, support it, go to it. But mine's always going to be baseball.
You and me both. And if people would just do that, okay, if you're not happy with it, don't watch it. Watch something else. You like something else, watch something else.
Yep,
But
exactly.
don't try to change it because you personally have a problem with it, and everybody's going to have issues. I hate hockey, I hate soccer, or whatever, and that's fine. That's fine. I say this almost every time we talk.
Yep.
Have your opinion. That's fine. But why does it have to change it? Your opinion have to change everything.
Right. Exactly. So
one of those things.
So what is the team that you root for out on the West Coast?
Well, I grew up in San Diego, so
Okay.
I'm a Padre fan.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I hate everybody north of San Diego. Baseball team wise. I live in
Right.
LA now, or in a suburb of LA, and a lot of Dodger talk. And I've gotten into a lot of the LA teams. LA, my God, it has like I counted the other day, it has like 12 professional sports teams.
Wow.
12
Yeah.
professionals, two baseball, two basketball, two football, two hockey, two soccer, women's basketball. It's got a professional rugby team. And I'm a sports guy. So I would say half of those teams I like and half of them I don't like, you know. Um, but definitely the Padres are my baseball team. And
Okay.
I think they're playing your Guardians
I think so.
today.
Yes,
I think they were
absolutely.
rained out yesterday. Something happened
Yes,
yesterday.
yeah. So those of you who are listening, it happens to be May the 4th. And yesterday, they were predicting rain and storms. And I think it was right around 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The Guardians did call the game because the way that storm was coming in. And areas around us got hit really, really hard. But I'll tell you, the look of the sky, I don't ever remember seeing it looking that scary.
Wow.
So, and I haven't even looked at the news today to see if there was any damage. I just don't want to know right now. So,
Wow. Just like
yeah.
thunderstorm, just like heavy
Thunderstorms
thunderstorm kind of
and
thing.
there were some tornadoes that were, I don't know if
Wow.
they touched down, but you could actually, as the news kept breaking in, you could see them very,
Wow.
yeah. So,
Tornadoes, yeah, they scare the hell out of me.
yeah.
Yeah, just it's like an earthquake. At any point, it's just dropped down on you.
Yeah,
You're helpless.
no warning. Yep.
No warning, right?
Absolutely. So
that's
what are we going to
crazy.
talk about next? Another theory.
Another theory. All right, let's go to the second one. This is theory number 19. I wrote this
Okay.
quite a while ago. It's called Only the Strong Survive. All right, only the strong survive. I'm certainly not the first person to ever make that statement. I think it was either Nietzsche or Captain America, not sure. But the original emphasis was on physical strength, the strength that endures through hard times and adversity, the strength that gives you the confidence to conquer all that comes your way. I'm sure the intent was meant to give people a way to cope with the difficulties of everyday life. There exist, however, many different types of strength: strength of character, strength of heart, strength of faith, strength of mind. Therefore, any size, gender, or age of persons having the potential to become strong within themselves. This means that the good thing is you don't have to be Hercules to succeed. My definition of strength in this case is doing the work. You have to put in the work to survive and or be successful. Studying, reading, exercising, attending classes, networking, whatever it may be. You have to be consistent, resilient, and have commitment. The work required to survive and do well here on earth is difficult, but necessary. And the work itself obviously varies person to person, but the concept is the same. Most people know what they need to do. And one of the hardest parts is just getting started. And the key to that is to sprint to the starting line, not just the finish line. But that's another theory for another time.
As you read it, I'm thinking we're coming out of the pandemic, although who knows if we're going to go into another one. I mean, if you listen to the scientists,
Right.
this is only the beginning of things that we need to look forward to in the future.
Right.
And so many people in the beginning of the pandemic were very, very scared because either they were losing their jobs or they were being put on furlough, or even if they automatically worked at home, now they were also being teachers and house cleaners and everything, but they were cooped up. And some of us thought, how am I going to survive this? I'm not going to. I can't be around my family 24/7 and locked up.
Right.
But I think what it did for us, and for the majority of people, I know some people who really got hurt by it, but I think the majority of us found ways to get stronger. And so as you read this, it's not just necessarily about, strength and, lifting weights. It's strength in survival. And we can't depend on each other. We have to depend on ourselves. So, you
It's
know,
true.
I'm hoping that our listeners will not only listen to the dialogue today, but they will go out to the webpage um, and think how some of these apply to their lives. And I know in my show, Avoid the Maze, one of the things that I'm learning is that there are so many of us who are now saying, you know what? I did this. That's not where I really want to be. I don't know how many more days I have,
Mhm.
but I'm going to make a change. And that
Yeah.
you can only do if you're strong.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And this was another theory born out of a T-shirt. I have a T-shirt that says "Only the strong survive." And one day, this was a long time ago, um, I passed somebody by in a wheelchair, and they came by me, and they said, "So what? That means I'm not going to survive?" And I thought, "Oh my God!" I said, "No," and I had already kind of formulated this in my head, so
Yeah,
I explained, what I said in my theory. I'm not just talking about physical strength, and you have to be, Hercules, and that's the only way you're going to get by. I mentioned all the things that I mentioned, and she says, "Okay, good. I'm not mad at you anymore." And then she went by it, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm glad we had the discussion, because it's true. I don't want, the shirt is kind of cool, but I don't want it to offend anybody, and I really I like getting that point across to people, and I'm glad that there's this format that I can try to do that,
sure.
because it's true. It isn't just about physical strength. There, you know I meet people that are this, that, and the other thing, and they have no character. And I meet somebody else that's got this, that, and the other thing, and they have no faith. I mean, it's just, there's so many different qualities to life and to what people have, and to see somebody strong in a particular area, particular facet of their being is very cool. And you're right. The COVID put our backs to the wall, and it really, you either bring out some of these strengths, or crumble, and sadly a lot of people crumbled, and it's just part of nature, part of life. But for a lot of us, yeah, we did have to come up with strategies, come up with something different, you know, fight it
And
off.
and it's sad that there are people who will see that shirt or hear the name of this theory, Only the Strong Survive, and think that you're demeaning them. And the reality of it is, we have to stop assuming that other people don't see our value. And maybe they don't because we don't express it. And I was talking to a life coach this past week. And one of the things I said was that the majority of my life, I didn't see my strengths.
Mhm.
And my father and mother always would say, there's no such word as can't. There's a word called try. Okay.
Mhm.
So instead of saying you can't do it, at least say I'll try, because every step you take to try to do something is an achievement. And, as a young kid, I didn't understand it, and I would get very upset and keep, crying. I can't do it, Mom. I can't. But as an adult, I finally realized that, I don't know if I can't unless I try. And, you know, no, I'm not in a wheelchair. No, um, I don't have any outward physical characteristics that would say that, I couldn't do something. But like you said, even that person in the wheelchair has strengths, you know,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
it's up to us to, um, you know, share them. And if you don't, yeah, you're gonna be the weakest link in the group
Right. Right.
because nobody knows how to communicate with you.
Right.
So
Right.
good theory. Love it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Well, hopefully, if somebody, is scrolling down, they'll see it, and even if it does upset them because they think it's one thing, maybe they'll read it and then, be okay.
Right.
That's the whole idea. Stimulate, you know, your
Absolutely.
thoughts,
So you have one more for us today.
One more. All right. Going to end on a happier note. This is theory number 23, called love at first sight. A lot of people believe that love at first sight is purely a physical phenomenon. One person is attracted to another person based on their physical attributes, and they fall in love. But often that attraction to a particular body type or skin tone or face hair combination is mistaken for love at first sight. It's merely somebody being attracted to a hottie. I believe I'm qualified to comment on the difference because one day it happened to me. My first year of college, I attended the University of California at San Diego. I got in on my grades, but only part of my tuition was paid. I had to find a job. I was looking for something on campus that worked around my class schedule. What I found was the UCSD daycare center. They had two small houses built on a small hill separated by a fence. The little kids, 0 to 2 years old, were in the upper house, and the big kids, 3 to 5 years old, were in the lower house. I had a blast, changing diapers one day, making paper airplanes the next, overseeing snack time, patting them on the back when they napped. It was a Monday through Thursday gig, and I usually picked up my check on Thursdays. One day I was told that my dough wouldn't be ready until Friday, so I came in then. I was just going into the upper house to get my check when I saw a young woman walk by the center fence heading towards the exit. I was about 30 feet away, so I didn't get that good of a look at her, but something possessed me to find a way to stop her before she left. My buddy Doug was standing next to me, so I told him, go down there, ask her what her name was, give her my jacket, and ask if she would hold it for me for a few minutes. Okay, in retrospect, it was a lot to ask of a 4-year-old. I ran back into the house, grabbed my check, headed down to the fence. I met Doug halfway there and asked him what her name was. He said, T-shirt. I said, thanks, Doug. When I got down there, she was still waiting with my jacket. She said her name was Sharon. T-shirt. And then Doug said, if the guy up there asked me to ask him to ask me your name. God, thanks again, Doug. Apparently, she volunteered at the center on Fridays, so I never saw her. If it hadn't been for that payroll mishap, I might not ever have seen her. Back to my original point. I saw something in her for a distance, and I didn't know what it was, but up close, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Shy smile, soft voice, thoughtful eyes. I was hooked. All I knew is that she was the one for me. She was certainly physically attractive, but somehow that was just kind of a pleasant extra. Sadly, it took a little longer to be sure about me for her as I was about her, but eventually she cracked. But I'm here to say love at first sight is alive and well and happening all around us, and not just to the hotties.
I love it. So
Thanks.
I don't know if you know about this, probably not, because most men probably wouldn't tune in to reality TV to watch a show called Love at First Sight. But there is a show, it's been going on for years. And I do believe that if you are open to it, love at first sight is practical. Because I think, like you said, there was so much more about her other than her physical attributes. Maybe the way she carried herself, maybe from the distance you saw the smile on her face, maybe it was the way she was dressed, but there was something there. And too many of us don't follow those instincts.
Yeah. And you can tell, when you see somebody and they're physically attractive and you're like, wow, she's pretty cute, and then you see somebody else and it's a different feeling that comes over you. It isn't just, maybe she is attractive, maybe she isn't, but you feel something and it's just different than what you just said 5 minutes ago about somebody else. It is. And I know that show you're talking about. It's in Europe, right? And they meet at a hotel.
Yep.
I saw some little snippets of that on Facebook, and it looks fantastic, Well, and what's cool.
It's fun to watch because as you're watching it, it's been edited out and stuff, but there are certain things that in their conversations, and you think to yourself, like, well, how come you're connecting? Because it sounds like maybe they shouldn't
Right,
be.
right.
But, you know, I love to people watch, and I've shared this story many times. I didn't know that I loved to people watch until my first trip to Niagara Falls with my husband. Um, we were the two of us had been married just a couple of years, and we were uh, I guess we felt that our marriage was strained a little bit, and we didn't know how to recover it. And my husband loves Niagara Falls, and
Mm,
said to me, "We're going to go up to Niagara Falls." And I was like, "Oh, that's for lovers." Okay, like, all right, I'll try it.
right.
And we got up there, and we were like at loose ends. We didn't know what to do. Um, both of us, in our heads, is this going to work? Whatever. So we sat down on a bench and we started people watching.
Hmm.
And then we started making up stories about these people to each other. And that's when we realized that we were definitely connected, because our stories were almost the exact same. I'd look across and say, the gentleman over there, with the straw hat on, he just came from such and such a place, and he's going to meet up with, his lover or whatever. And all of a sudden my husband would finish the story, and it's like, yeah, that's where I would have gone.
Wow.
So, I think when we're open to what is around us, we can really, find the greatest loves of our life.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's a very cool story. Yeah, I didn't know that. I hadn't heard that before, but that's very
Yeah.
cool. And without even trying, you guys realized why it was that you got together in the first place, probably because you had that deeper connection, and that you really did think kind of the same,
Yeah.
and that's very cool. That's very
And,
cool.
and to our listeners, I know so many people are going through struggles, whatever those struggles are. Um, you know, you need to reach out to other people, and you need to talk it out. And it's not, as my mother used to say, hanging out your dirty laundry for the neighbors to see,
Right,
but
right.
it's about sharing experiences, because once you start sharing them, you find that, hey, I'm not alone, and my feelings, you know, are justifiable, and there are different pathways that I can take. And I love the pathway you took to meet your wife. You found a little kid who would be adorable, and, say, hey, you got to wait here, hold this for me. So I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah. I mean, those were my friends back then. Those were my only friends, really, the little kids, and we hung out together. So yeah, he was my buddy, and but 4 years old, what are you gonna do?
Hey,
But I mean, it worked. It was comical, and I think that it probably maybe wouldn't even work today, but it worked then, and I think she was just kind of shocked enough, like, what the hell's going on? Why am I here? Why am I standing here? Why is this kid talking to me? She looked up the hill, didn't even see me because I had run back into the house to grab my check and run back down. So it was just, circumstances. Well, I walked her
absolutely.
back to her dorm. She was living on campus, so I walked her back to her dorm, and I was living off campus. And you know, this year this November it'll be 40 years.
Wow,
So
very good. You
we're
know,
it worked. It worked.
it works, and not every day is perfect, as we both know.
True,
Um,
true.
and it's a way of saying, okay, today's not perfect. How can I change it so that tomorrow's a little bit better?
Right,
Because I
right.
will say, my husband and I have been together 38 years, and sometimes we sit here and we scratch our heads and go, like, really? And then it's like, yeah, okay, well, we'll add another one to that.
Right,
So,
right.
so
Yeah, yeah. And just to real quick, I'm sorry, just to touch on that show again. I know that a lot of it, they do a lot of research, and
right,
they try to find people that have a bunch of things in common with the other people. So they're like really trying to get these people together. It's not
right.
just random. Let's see who makes somebody mad or who says something stupid. I mean, you could tell that they're really trying to hook these people up. And the thing that I like about that show is that that look in their eyes, that look on their face when they realize that this person really gets them, you know.
Exactly.
I mean, like some people say, well, you know, I don't care what they look like. I just want them to be kind of into this and that, or, you know, this is what matters to me. And it'd be nice if that mattered to somebody else. And they're talking and they're being casual and whatever. And then you see that look like, oh my God, you know,
You
this,
get me.
this is really,
Yep.
you know, could be really important, you know, and that's cool. You know, it's cool. And people find things like that. I always like that.
Well, I am so glad that you're back. And I'm glad that we talked about these theories today. To our listeners out there, again, there will be a link in the show notes that will take you right to Steve's page. And hopefully you're back on the writing mode again. So maybe we'll get a few new ones.
Yeah, I was well, at the time I was off, I wrote 4 new ones anyway. So I've got more to send you right now. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm definitely back from my little hiatus.
Well, and you know what? We all need a break sometimes. I have a couple of shows here at New Cleveland Radio that do that periodically. They'll just say to me, you know what? I've got to spend either more time with family or I have a new project. And you know what? That's absolutely fine. You know, we're all about taking care of ourselves. So
There you go.
welcome
There you go.
back. Enjoy
Thank
the
you.
beautiful day in California.
Thank you very
We'll-
much.
We'll see you next month. Have a
Sounds
great
good.
one. Bye-bye
Thanks.
now.
Bye.